Welcome on in, everybody. I hope you are ready. We have a lot to break down. Bethenny Frankel has finally revealed the third part of her interview with Rachel, Raquel, Rocky, Bang, Bang, Leviss, and we're going to break it all down. I have Steele and Shooter from the BravBros, and we have lots of thoughts. Oh, hi, it's me, Zack Peter, pop culture junkie, reality TV insider, published author, and host of the No Filter with Zack Peter podcast. Here I'll bring you all the latest news on the Real Housewives, deep dives into celebrity legal scandals, and unfiltered convos with your favorite stars. I've got you covered. And yes, I always keep receipts. So be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for all the latest tea. Now, let's dive in. All right, I hope you are ready, Freddie. We're going to break down part 3 of Bethenny Frankel's interview with Rachel, Raquel, Rocky, Bang, Bang, Leviss, and Steele and Shooter from the BravBros are here to help me do so. So please help me welcome Steele and Shooter.
Welcome on in. Welcome on in.
What's up, guys?
My bad.
Yeah, good job, Steele. Way to start us off.
Okay, so we have part 3, which I'll briefly recap for everybody, and then we'll dive into it. Because I know, Steele, I know you're fired up. I was getting a flood of text messages with all of. Well, Steele, to be frank, got a flood of text messages from me the other day, and then he finally listened to part 3, and I got a flood of text messages from him. But basically, we open up with Bethenny. She talks about how Andy made this like flippant comment that she reads out of context about Rachel being on medication, which, to be clear, Andy made this statement in response to being asked how Rachel could be so calm at the reunion. He said she must have been on medication because she was so emotionless. Rachel then goes into talking about how it violates her HIPAA rights, which I don't believe is true. I don't think she understands how HIPAA works. I don't even think she knows how to spell HIPAA. But Bethenny says that an employer should never be the one to put that information out there, even though Andy didn't put it out there. He didn't say she was on medication. He didn't say she's being medicated for this specific issue. He speculated also Andy Cohen is not Rachel's employer. Andy Cohen was contracted to host the Vanderpump Rules reunion. Andy Cohen is not a producer on Vanderpump Rules, so technically he's not her boss. He's a producer on the Real Housewives franchise, and he's a host of Watch What Happens Live, but he does not work for Bravo specifically anymore outside of being a host for Watch What Happens Live. He has no creative control over Vanderpump Rules, so technically he's no less of an employee by Vanderpump Rules than Raquel is by being contracted to host the reunion. Rachel says her HIPAA laws were violated again when it got leaked that she was in mental treatment. So this bitch doesn't know what a HIPAA violation actually is. I don't believe that's a HIPAA violation either. Someone just gave her a buzzword and she's making big accusations again. 3 parts. Let's go. She then addresses the rumor that she was at a spa and not at a rehab. She says that her cast members fed into that lie in the press, which is also not true because I believe Tom Sandoval did an interview with TMZ where he very clearly came out to defend her. I feel like Bethenny would know all of this if she actually did her research. Rachel says that she found this info out and then told her team to dispute the narrative, which is confusing to me because how does she find this info out if she's in treatment and doesn't have access to her phone, which is also what she said. How are you following the headlines from treatment? Are you supposed to be in treatment? Are you supposed to be doing your macaroni art? She said it was more salacious to be at a spa, so Bravo wanted to keep up that narrative. She asked Bravo to pay for her treatment. They declined. Bethenny speculates that it probably leans to their culpability and they would be taking responsibility by paying for it. She said that after the legal letters came out, which were the cease and desists, or no, not the cease and desist, the legal letters that they sent out recently telling Bravo, hey, by the way, we might sue you. Not that we are suing you, but we might sue you. So just heads up, FYI. Bravo then offered security to protect her. I do think that was a little fishy of the network, if that is true. She gets into Lala making Send It to Daryl merch. I'm sad I didn't wear my Send It to Daryl merch sweater today, but I am in the process of moving, so I don't have that for you. But she's mad that Lala capitalized off of that and she got nothing. But like, I'm sorry, make your own fucking merch and you're good. Like, I don't understand why she's so upset. Lala capitalized off of it the same way Bethenny's capitalized off of everything her entire reality career. Lala didn't use you. She leaned into the scandal, made her bag. She says that she didn't have her phone and she didn't follow anything once she was in treatment, yet somehow she was aware of all the headlines that were going on and she was releasing statements to the press. Bethenny says, do we need to discuss the dog? Is this dog thing relevant? Which just proves that Bethenny is the ultimate loser and she didn't do her research. We get into the dog. Rachel says that Graham bit her mom. Her mom didn't take care of him, so Rachel was either going to have to leave treatment to come and take care of him, also fucked up, but she was going to have to leave treatment to take care of her dog. But she said, I'm going to choose myself. I'm going to choose me. I'm going to focus on my mental treatment, so fuck the dog. She also claims that James taught Graham how to be a biter. She claims that James is the one that taught Graham how to be aggressive. She says she has no regret, or that she regrets everything that she did, and she's sorry that the trust was broken amongst her friendships. Her silver lining is that she's able to learn about herself. I don't feel like she's learned shit, but whatever. She says that she would never go back to reality TV, even though she was just in negotiations, and she said that she would have returned if she would have gotten equal pay as Tom and Ariana, which is also stupid because Tom is a season 1 OG and Ariana's been on the show since season like 2 or 3. So this was Rachel's first full-time season. She got paid $361,000. Like, take a seat. Bethenny then ends by saying, I don't even know you, but I'm so proud of you. And she was like, basically eating her coochie. Steel Shooter, what are your reactions to the interview?
That was a great breakdown.
I wish I didn't listen to the interview and just came in here and listened to the recap. Instead, I was laughing because someone made a stupid comment, and I think you laughed at the same time.
Yep, I did. I was laughing at it too.
What was the comment?
Something that we're like a dog. Oh, she repeated it.
She did it again.
We got it, Sue.
Come on, Sue.
Settle
we can
down.
read. Enough. No, I mean,
what did Sue say? Oh, Sue said, what did she say? Why can't I see her comment? Oh,
you're like dogs to the bone with Rachel.
Bones.
Aren't you sick of burying this woman alive? For gosh sake, stop talking about her. Hopefully she'll go away and start living a better life. Look, I had a lot of comments on TikTok and Instagram that were saying stuff like this. And here's the thing.
We wouldn't talk about her if she wouldn't keep doing fucking interviews.
Yep.
This is our job to
Very
comment
simple
on this shit. We get paid to do so. So we have to talk about it. If she keeps putting it out there, we're going to fucking talk. It's the #1 podcast on the planet.
Worldwide.
On Earth. That's
not even on Mars, on Venus. It's the #1 planet or the #1 podcast in the universe.
So we have to talk about it, Sue. This is our job. We don't want to talk about it. I hate Bethenny. I'm tired of this narrative. We have to discuss it.
Sue's just mad that she's not getting paid to talk about it.
Yeah. Sue.
Yeah, anyway. This is a great way to start the show, guys. All right, let's leave Sue out of this. Sue, shut up. No one wants to hear from you anymore.
Sue, we left the bone alone and we came for you.
Yeah, exactly. That's what you wanted, Sue. So here we are.
It's getting old, but Sue's here watching the live with us.
I'm going with that.
It's not like the live isn't titled too. Like, if you don't care, then don't click on it. Anyway, Sue. I love how this one started off. I actually had to call Steele because I was driving home from the shore. When Bethenny said, and she's talking about the Xanax and everything on set during the reunion, she goes, I think like even strip clubs have codes of conduct, right? What the fuck is Bethenny talking about? Like, that was one of those moments that I had to stop and say, like, what is actually going on? Why is she doing this? Does she know anything about anything? Probably not. Between that and her and Rachel talking about how I guess James Kennedy has a full-blown like dog biting fetish. Like, what the fuck is that?
What the fuck? I had no idea.
There were so many what the fuck moments from this, and like that could also be entirely true. I could absolutely see that, and that's the weirdest thing from this interview. The rest of it was just ridiculous.
All I get from the dog biting thing was that when dogs nip, when they're puppies and they like to gnaw a little bit, I imagine he would just stick his. I've seen people do that 1,000 times. I don't promote the behavior either because it does lead to a potential biter. But I don't think that's James like encouraging biting. The way that she frames it, it's like he was getting Graham ready for like a dog fighting ring. Like, I used to shove his hand in his mouth because it turned him on, and that led to biting.
No, okay. So I just learned this today because I have 2 6-year-old puppies. Or sorry, 6-month-old puppies. I have 2 of them now. I got a new one on Friday. And I just learned this because I have a friend that lives here in downtown that also has a 6-month-old puppy, and his dog grew up with my dog and now both of my dogs because they just they're all friends now. But so he was teaching me that like when the dogs do bite, you put your hand in their mouth and you kind of like that's how you intercept the behavior and teach them not to bite. I don't fully understand it. He was trying to explain it to me, but I wasn't really paying attention. But so I don't like I need more details as to what that means that James taught him how to bite and James wanted him to bite harder. Like to me, there's something about that that's like fishy and off.
Yeah, no, I didn't like any of that. That was the weirdest part of the entire podcast, I thought, for me. But I think it was just clearly evident throughout this part, more than even the first two parts, that Bethenny has absolutely no idea what she's talking about, and she has no background information. When she was talking about the Xanax thing, she's talking about how somebody threw a bottle around, and it was just like everybody was medicated. Like, she has no idea what she's talking about. She shouldn't be doing this interview to begin with, but here she is.
Yeah, because the Xanax thing, it was Schwartz, right?
And it was Schwartz, and it was funny.
Wasn't even on set at that moment, right?
It was. I think
he
it
was
before she
sitting
got
on the
there.
stage.
Yeah.
No, he was sitting on the stage. He was. I don't know. She was not.
Raquel wasn't there yet.
Yeah, no, she wasn't.
Too. And he like made a joke about it, and he's like, "Does anybody need Xanax?" And like he took half a Xanax, and that was the extent of that joke. That Rachel wasn't even on set, like she wasn't even there. Like it was bizarre. And then they're like, "That's a HIPAA violation." Like the HIPAA thing was so weird to me.
They're not medical professionals.
Exactly. Like
they don't
HIPAA,
HIPAA.
Yeah, let's be clear as to what HIPAA is. HIPAA is when medical professionals have to keep your medical information confidential. That's medical, like nurses and doctors cannot share your medical information. That would be a violation of your HIPAA rights, right? Andy's speculating. Andy, who's really just an employee, speculating. I mean, Bethenny did the same thing at the season 2 reunion on Scary Island when she was talking about how Kelly Ben-Simone is mentally unwell. That's technically, if we're going by the same standards, that's technically a HIPAA violation because Bethenny would technically be outing Kelly Ben-Simone's mental health issues, right?
Yeah. And he's speculating on like, look, I could say hypothetically to all of you right now, like Shooter's got the clap. That would be.
You know?
You were down Wildwood for like 3 days. I put two and two together, but that's the thing. Like, that's not violating HIPAA. Is it being an asshole? Sure. Are you supposed to divulge her medical information? No. But at the same time, I think the funniest response from that was Andy speculates that she's medicated. And her first response to Bethenny is, I was medicated. So it's like, okay, well, then he wasn't wrong. He wasn't wrong, Rachel. Like he called it out and you were like, what
also speculation is not a violation. And we already went through all of this. It's so even the girl who she suspects left the Meadows treatment and went and told the press that Raquel was there. Even her, that's not a
violation. Yeah, no, it's not. It's no.
Just because you're an idiot and you walked in and actually, I would love to have been a fly on the wall for that conversation. By the way, if it happened, she could have made the entire thing up. But if she actually walked into this treatment facility and spoke to another girl there that recognized her and told her everything, because this girl was in treatment during the whole thing, I would have loved to have seen that, because that's probably the only time that we'll actually get the full, true, like Raquel side of the story. Because whatever she's doing now is just manufacturing different things that aren't working.
That's a really good point.
None of it makes sense. Like the interview was so bad. And it's like, if you're going to interview her, then like you want to be able to ask her, like you want to be able to give a little pushback, because I mean, otherwise, this is what was so wrong about the Howie Mandel interview, is it's like he just let Tom talk and believed whatever Tom said. And that's what's happening with Bethenny and Rachel. It's like you don't know any of the details. So you're just taking their word at face value. And we forget that they were lying to the entire world for 7 months. Everybody wants to keep saying they made a mistake. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody gets that way. And I'm just like, no, it's not a mistake when you deliberately make the same choice over and over and over and over and over for 7 months and lie to people and don't bring it up on camera. You're keeping it from the cameras while also taunting Ariana and taunting Katie. You're taunting other people in their relationships while you're doing this shady shit.
What was crazy to me, like throughout this entire third part of the episode, and you can kind of hear it as these episodes play on. And in the beginning, she's kind of neutral, but she starts to lean towards playing the victim role a little bit.
Yeah.
But you can feel Bethenny pushing her further and further towards it. She's hinting at certain things like, oh, even when they reference Tom and Ariana's relationship, Bethenny leans into it. Oh, there was no romance left. And oh, it wasn't like she's trying to belittle what actually happened. As the episodes progress, you can hear Raquel buying more and more into the fact that, oh yeah, these people were doing wrong by me, to the point where in episode 3, she's complaining about everybody making a bag off of this whole thing and the whole Scandival thing. She brings up, send it to Daryl, which free promo for Lala, you idiot. But as she's talking about all this, she's like, my brand is trashed. They're dragging my name through the mud. It's like, do you forget why? Do you forget why we're here right now? You're the one that fucked your friend's boyfriend. That's why we're here. Let's not forget the reasons. And this is the problem with going on this kind of platform and going up against somebody like Bethenny, who doesn't do her research, is we were all kind of, I think this was starting to smooth over a little bit. And had she come out and said, look, I made a lot of mistakes. I spent a long time in therapy. I was away for 30, 60, 90 days, whatever, looking inward, and I see the error in my ways. I'm doing my best every day to get better. We would have a much different outlook and a much different conversation right now. But because she went on Bethenny's platform, who doesn't know what she's talking about, who is pushing the victim narrative towards her, now Rachel comes out looking even worse. And we were all ready to kind of be like, all right, look, Sandoval's back on the show. He's mixing up with the cast. They seem to at least be amicable with him. Maybe it's time that we kind of move forward from this. Lo and behold, Rachel shoots herself in the foot once again and then starts pointing fingers and completely disregards the fact that you are the one that fucked Tom.
Exactly. And my thing is, it's like you spent 90 days in a treatment center. You went to go get help, and then you come out talking about the same shit that you went to go get help for. Like, why are you back in this mix? Why? And then people are like, well, she hasn't. She deserves the right to tell her story. Then she should have come back on the show.
That's a good point. She should have came back on the show. She could have solved her whole I'm broke problem right then and there, because you're going to get paid a little bit more. You want Tom and Ariana money. You're not going to get that, but you're going to get paid more than you got last year. They're going to give you some sort of compensation, but she definitely has somebody, whether it's her family or somebody that she's close to, or even fucking Bethenny, in her ear talking about how last season was all because of you. These numbers that happened, it's all because of you. And she doesn't really understand the negativity of it. She's just looking at it from it's a show standpoint. And you can tell that she just can't quite wrap her head around it when she's talking about the Vegas trip and how she says that she says that Lala and Christina Kelly came into her room the next day and said, wow, that was gold, Raquel. That was so good last night. And then they were mean to her later when the camera showed up. She just doesn't quite understand what this is. She can't really separate the reality TV, the ratings and everything from real life.
But also, let's be clear. Everybody, like, a lot of people like to say that the show would have been canceled and Raquel saved it. If Raquel fucked any other random dude, we wouldn't give a shit. It's the fact that Tom and Ariana have been together for 9 years and we followed their relationship from the very beginning on Vanderpump Rules for so many seasons. That's why it was such a big scandal, is because of the fact that we were invested in their relationship. Not just because Rachel came in to, screw things up with their relationship. Like, people are giving her a little too much credit. In this case, it takes 3 to tango. Tom, Ariana, and Rachel. And had the 3 of them not been a part of this formula would not have popped off the way that it has.
Yep.
No, it's really well said. And I think that kind of plays into, since this whole thing is starting to turn towards monetization. And we talked about it a lot in our episode the other day. But Bethenny keeps preaching to Rachel in this interview about the fact that she didn't get paid like they did. She didn't make this kind of money off of her. Like, again, you're the one that did this. You're the villain, so you're not going to get the payout for it. You caused the problems. The fact that Bethenny can sit there and talk about monetizing and talk about exploitation and talk about all this bullshit when she's going to make over 6 figures from this one episode easy, if not more. It's going to be an astronomical number that she's putting away. Shooter and I discussed it. Shooter was saying, why does Raquel deserve to be paid? I'm not saying she does. I'm saying in this specific instance, because she's on this platform, Bethenny, of all reality stars deserve to be paid, then you need to pay Rachel for this. She deserves to get a big cut of whatever you're about to make because of your stupid platform that you're dying on.
Plus residuals.
Plus all of that, because that's the platform she's dying on right now. And I can't stand the fact that we have to sit there and listen to her just be a hypocrite over and over again with no kind of reprimand. And now she's got the #1 podcast in the world, which sucks. But
Galaxy.
Like, here we are.
It's stupid. Like, Bethenny knows what she's doing. And anybody that's falling for this, like, I'm sorry, you're a moron. Like, this is literally, like, it's not about Rachel telling her side of the story, because if we gave a fuck about Rachel, we would pay her because we're complaining that she didn't get paid by Bravo and she was exploited by Bravo. And that's not what Bethenny's doing. Bethenny's literally using her and squeezing every ounce of juice out of this orange because she wants to make sure that she can, 1, stay relevant, and 2, continue to collect money. She has this insatiable quench for relevance. You know, she can have all the money in the world and she still wants more. And now it's just like, it's unsavory. My biggest issue with this whole entire interview is that like Bethenny is just, I get it. She doesn't give a shit. And she's like, I'm the #1 podcast. But it's like, we're listening to her podcast. We're helping her become #1, but we don't like her. So when the podcast is done, we're not going to listen to next week's episode when she's recapping Real Housewives of Salt Lake City with Jerry Springer. Like,
I don't think she knows that.
Nobody
he's
gives a
dead.
fuck about that. Oh, sorry.
Well,
yeah, R.I.P.
Knowing Bethenny, she would bring him back to life just to interview her podcast so that she could say that she could do that.
I actually, it was a throwaway comment last week, but I really do feel like Bethenny could lean into this type of crap. We said that maybe she would even have Luke from Below Deck on next week to tell his side of the sexual harassment story. That is what she's going to do. She's going to lean towards that stuff that's only going to give her publicity, and she won't have any homework done. She will have no background information. She will literally read what happens on the show on her phone in the middle of an interview. She doesn't care. She just wants clicks. I know. Yeah, I know. That's what I was alluding to.
Yes.
But that's what she wants. She just wants the clicks. She does not care about anything else.
Yes, but, and I will say this because like my podcast makes the press all the time, right? We always get picked up. And I will say, as great at first, I loved it. I was like the ego validation, like they're mentioned by this and this and this, whatever. It doesn't do anything. Other than the ego validation of knowing your name or whatever was mentioned in the press, it doesn't drive clicks. It doesn't drive traffic. Like it gives you mention and some sense of relevance for that moment. But like for the most part, it doesn't drive what I think people think that it drives. So my thing is, it's like Bethenny's doing all this, and maybe you're right, Shooter. Maybe she will lean into this, but the biggest issue is that, and as a businesswoman, I'm really surprised that she isn't looking at it from this lens, is it's like she's alienating herself from her own customers, from her own, fans. Like me, I would buy her books. I would, if I were to see Skinny Girl out at CVS, I would buy myself a bottle of Skinny Girl and I would enjoy. Listen, it's only $11. That like I actually would invest in Bethenny. I enjoyed watching her. I watched The Big Shot with Bethenny. Like I enjoyed Bethenny, and now I'm like, I never want to see a Skinny Girl bottle ever again. I never want to buy another one of her products ever again. It's just we're so fatigued with her at this point that like, to me, you've completely cut off your own leg. When you lose your customers, like, why did people buy Bethenny's products to begin with? Not because it was the most amazing thing. It was a fucking margarita. But people invested in her because they connected with her. They watched her on the show. They saw her struggle and they were rooting for her. Nobody is rooting for Bethenny. Cool that you have the #1 podcast in the galaxy. Nobody gives a fuck about you.
That's the funny thing, is that we haven't watched those seasons with Bethenny in them, but we've had a lot of people reach out and say, "Oh my God, Bethenny was my favorite." We posted a video the other day of in response to Bethenny eating the crab legs, and we were just saying simply that we don't want to watch any human being eat crab legs in front of a screen that close. Like, we don't want to watch it; it's gross. And we got so much backlash, and this was 2 weeks before the episode dropped, and everybody was going to bat for her, saying, "We love Bethenny. Like, how dare you go after her? You're trying to silence a woman, blah, blah, blah." We're like, no, we're not. We just don't want to watch people eat crab legs because it's yucky. Fast forward 2 weeks, and after this, we've gotten so many comments and messages of people saying, "She was my favorite housewife. Like, I was ride or die for Bethenny. I cannot stand her. I'm over it. I'm done with her. She's lost her mind. She's lost my interest." Like, every single negative thing you can say about her is being said about her. And that's the thing. I feel like she saw this opportunity and she sold her soul, and not in a way that's going to continue to monetize. I don't see her next step here unless it is to start interviewing people like Luke from Below Deck and start just playing the weird villain, like villain. I can't
villain,
like in the podcasting realm, which she might. And like, look, as content creators, and somebody over here keeps commenting, trying to like knock us down a peg, saying, "Aren't you going for clicks?" Yeah, we all go. Yes, Linda. We all go for clicks. And I understand that technically, yeah, we are discussing Bethenny to get clicks and to get more listens. However, the difference here is we are coming from a place of commenting on what she produced, this nonsense, this bullshit podcast, in which you're trying to defend that she's saying that she was going to advocate for Raquel, that she was trying to support Raquel, that she was trying to get her voice out there. I said to Shooter in our podcast the other day, I believe that Rachel has the right to speak out on what her side of the story is. Absolutely. Anybody has the right to talk about their side of things, especially something as public as this. She had every right to come forward. She has every right to voice how she feels, what she went through. I'm sure it was a really difficult time. And a lot of people could have learned a lot from this and been like, wow, she went away for 90 days and she seems like she's doing a little bit better. I'm happy for her. It was awful what she did, but let's move forward. Instead, she went this route in which she's trying to play some kind of victim card. And it's like, look, dude, we watched what you did for a whole fucking season. It was really, really awful. And it wasn't just you banging him. It was you getting buddy-buddy with Ariana. It was you betraying Sheena, your best friend. And then when you have the chance to talk about what Sheena did for you, you go ahead and say that it was fake, that you had to pay rent and that you were watching her cat and that it wasn't really that she was this motherly figure that she's trying to pretend to be. It's like, why are you trying to throw everybody that actually supported you under the bus? You did this and Tom did this. And that's the other thing I want to talk about. Tom deserves just as much shit and he deserves more shit. He's the biggest villain here and he's not getting as much shit, which sucks. But I'm sick of people saying that are taking the stance of she's allowed to tell her story and Bethenny's trying to help her do that because Bethenny buried her. Bethenny fucked her completely, and she's not going to come back from this now because of Bethenny and because of this stupid podcast.
If Bethenny was trying to help her tell her story, Bethenny would have helped us get to know her. We would have gone into the adoption story. We would have realized that this was a real person and a real human being. Bethenny would have humanized her. Bethenny didn't give a shit about humanizing her. Bethenny didn't give a shit about letting her tell her story. Bethany gave a shit about exploiting her the same way Bethenny is accusing Bravo of exploiting her. Bethany didn't talk about her treatment or what she learned from treatment. We got maybe 2 minutes of this entire 2-hour interview that Bethenny sliced up into 3 different parts. Like, come on. Bethany doesn't give a shit about Rachel.
No, we spent more monologue. We spent more time on the dog than we did on Rachel's actual treatment. It didn't make any sense. And you can tell Bethenny just seemed like somebody who was out of touch that just wanted the gossip at this point. She didn't care about who Rachel was. She said multiple times, like, it's nice to know you. And then at the end of the interview, she said, I don't know you at all, but I feel bad for you. Like, it just didn't make any sense. Nothing she was doing. If she had just promoted, and I know somebody in the comments had just said something about Raquel doing her own podcast. I do wonder if Raquel had done this, and who the fuck knows if she's going to do a podcast. She makes it seem like it's really hard to do it. We know you just buy some equipment and just like fire up a video like a camera or an iPad or something and just get after it. That's what you do. But if she had done this on her own without Bethenny, if she just posted, hey, I'm going to start a podcast, guys, and I'm really going to go in depth with this, I actually think that would be worse because she's going to make that last multiple episodes and we're going to have to listen for all the little details and this and that and whatever. This is just kind of who Rachel is. I don't see her going to treatment and coming out and being remorseful as we would have pushed her to do. But also Bethenny just saw her opportunity. She was licking the chops. She said she flew out to Arizona to go see her because she was afraid she was going to be a flight risk. She wasn't going to show up. That's how much Bethenny needed her on the show to promote her own business. And that's exactly what it is in a nutshell.
But if you break that last part down, when she says, I flew out to you, she is trying to sound like a savior, like a
she's trying to sound like a motherly person. Yeah.
And it's crazy. It's like, you don't give a fuck about this person. You don't even know who this person is. You didn't even take the time to watch the season. And that's what sucks about it. She has no context for what she's talking about, as we've referenced already. But that's where the most diabolical part of this whole thing lies, is watching her interact with everybody, knowing that behind the scenes, she's having sex with Tom. And you don't even know that. You're so focused on the fact that everybody on this show cheats. Yes, they do. Absolutely. Do they deserve to get dragged? Yes, they do. Absolutely. But that's not what we watched. What we watched was somebody slither in between all of these friends and continue to have this narrative of, I'm finding myself. I'm finding myself this year. This is the year of Raquel, baby. Woo! And all we watched was her be a snake. And then she comes out and says, I'm still finding myself. It's like, well, who the fuck are you? Because every version I've seen of you so far sucks.
I mean, the fact that she continued to befriend Ariana and go on, what was it, the Betches podcast, like a week before the scandal even broke, and talk about like how Sheena and Ariana were her good friends and they took her in. And then now she's just like, we were never really friends. And like, I wouldn't have actually done this if I would have thought that there was longevity in their relationship. It's like, my mind was just literally fucking blown listening to the words that came out of her mouth. And Bethenny just kind of kept giving her room to hang herself. rather than like as an interviewer. And you guys know this, you guys have had your podcast and interviewed people on your podcast, and you understand that like your job is to not make the audience hate your subject, not make the audience hate your guest. Like if anything, it's the exact opposite. You want people to get to know them, because as you guys know, we get to know them so differently. We're with them in person or even on Zoom sometimes. Like we're with them and we can see a different side of them, and like we get to know them in a different way, that it's like you want the audience to also see them in that way. And the fact that Bethenny didn't do that, she didn't set Raquel up for success. And if anything, it was the opposite. She set her up to fail. It was, wild to me.
I just don't think that Raquel is smart at all. And I just wonder who is feeding her this information, because there's no way that she came into this interview with the agenda that I'm going to completely downplay my friendship with Ariana. I'm going to lean into the fact that that relationship was completely fake and it was just for a brand, so that people feel feel better for me, I guess, or they can kind of understand where I'm coming from. I just don't know who fed her that idea. And then she just started running with it. I know Bethenny did, obviously, like you said, she gave her a couple of words here and there to hang herself, essentially. And she took the bait at every opportunity. But she had an agenda to try to knock down this friendship that she had. And it's the weirdest stance ever. Nobody has her best interest in mind. Whoever's telling her to do this just wants to see her fail, or thinks that they're better than everybody else. It doesn't make any sense. If she had just come in and just was remorseful, we've seen it from Lala, we've seen it from Ariana even. Yeah, we were a little hard on her, but it was 3 weeks after it happened. Of course we were. We're not going to be friends with her ever again. But if you're remorseful now, people might start feeling sorry for you. People might feel worse for you. You start talking about your treatment. Bethenny didn't give her any of the tools to get that done. Yeah. She wanted a revenge thing. She wanted to say, no, you're absolutely right. Whatever you did was entirely fine. Everybody cheats on that show. You're good. And Bethenny has no idea what's going on, but she also knows what she's doing at the end of the day. And it completely screws over Raquel.
She tries to also paint this picture, and you hear how she's wording things about Andy and about on the reunion. He asked you to come back. He kept saying, come back. It's like, yeah, if you watched and really paid attention to why he was saying come back, it was actually with a little bit of sympathy. Like, hey, hold on. Like, let's like calm this down before you leave. It was not, hey, come back and take your beating. She's trying so hard to paint the narrative of this poisonous Bravo world that she's pushing it on poor Raquel in this moment. And I will say poor Raquel in that regard, because she's using her to push both of her agendas. One, her podcast, and two, this weird platform of strike for the Bravo world. And Raquel is her sacrificial lamb. And that's not fair for somebody that's been through as much as she has with all of this. I know she made her own bed and has to lie in it, but this was a chance for her to have some kind of, I don't want to say redemption, but at least a little bit of a reprieve from all the shit and all the hate. I don't think that anybody deserves to read in comments for 4, 6, 8 months that you're subhuman, that you don't belong on this planet. No one deserves to hear that. I agree with that. You're not doing yourself any favors. And to the Ariana thing, when she was talking about her being acquaintances and says what Ariana did for her, she says, she looked out for me. She had my back. She defended me. She was there when James left, or when I broke up with James. It's like, that's an acquaintance? That's a friend, dude. That's what a friend does for you. And you said that in the interview, but you guys aren't close. So I get really frustrated listening to this whole thing, trying to navigate what Bethenny's trying to do versus what she's doing to Raquel versus what Rachel's role in all of this is. Like, because she obviously plays a part as well, and she deserves shit for it. It's just, I feel like this was somebody who was extremely vulnerable, who came to this platform because her mom is a Bethenny fan. That's very important, because her mom, the pageant mother, is pushing her to do things, right? The mom likes Bethenny. The mom says Bethenny's a force to be reckoned with. That's not Rachel's words. That's her mom's words. And because of that, she goes on this platform. She's ill-prepared. Bethenny's ill-prepared. And now Rachel loses. Bethenny's going to make $1 million from this. And she doesn't give a fuck. She's already got 50 mil. Again, it just sucks. The whole thing sucks. And it could have been handled so much better.
I think what Bethenny did was 10 times worse than what Bravo did, because at least Bravo gave Raquel a contract that she signed and agreed to, and they paid her. And when Andy was asking Raquel to come back on set, it wasn't to take her beating. It was to tell her, like, he's like, okay, this is your opportunity to talk, to tell your side. And one thing that they've done that they've never really done before, except for I think when Kim Richards and Luann went to, or when Luann divorced Tom and when Kim went to rehab, they don't give you an opportunity to have your own one-on-one, to have your side of the story told. And they gave her a second one-on-one interview where she got to then really mention it all in the last few minutes of the reunion. So I feel like they gave her more of an opportunity to tell her side of the story than Bethenny ever did. Bethenny completely used her, completely took advantage of her. And I think Bethenny is at this point just a sick woman that, you know, is so ego driven that she doesn't even realize how much she's actually hurting this girl more than she's helping her. You know?
And how nice would it have been if we actually got like a legitimate interview with her about how it goes? Like, ask her the tougher questions. Ask her about how after the reunion, you're going to talk about how bad it was and how ridiculous it was that people were yelling at you and saying really mean things to you. What did you do 2 minutes after you walked off stage? You and Sandoval were in your own dressing room cackling, laughing as loud as you possibly could. You did not care. You didn't give a shit. Talk about that. I don't want to hear about your treatment. I don't want to hear about you doing this and that. Clearly nothing worked. I don't want to hear about your stupid dog. Who cares about the goddamn dog at this point? Hopefully the dog's doing okay, but you know, whatever. I don't care. I want to know how you actually managed to do this, how you feel now, what happened, and how you're going to make it right or you're not going to make it right. Whatever you got to do. I don't really care what it is, but that's not the way to go about it.
I do want to talk about the dog, and I want to talk about James and the accusations that she's made, because Kristen has come out and, you know, is also chiming in on this. But before we dive into that, I do want to say that I do love being a good party host. And part of being a good party host is having everyone's favorite drink handy. Aperol Spritz, I got you. Vodka soda with the twist, easy peasy. Spicy margarita, but not a skinny margarita, with the tahine rim and a splash of Grand Marnier Cordon Rouge, I got you, because I've got Drizzly, the go-to app for drink delivery. Drizzly is here to be your partner in parties, meaning they're here to help you take the grunt work out of the get-together so that you can be a confident host and actually party at your own party. Drizzly is the most convenient way to buy beer, wine, and spirits with delivery to your door when you want it, all from the comfort of your couch. The convenience speaks for itself, and any true Housewives fan knows the importance of being a good party host. Something Bethenny is not. And a good host has Drizzly. So download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com now. Okay, I want to talk about James and the accusations that Raquel made against him, because Kristen has chimed in and she has made it clear that she hasn't listened to the full interview, but that she's seen clips of it on TikTok. She's claiming that Bravo did not pay her off by giving her the spinoff. There was never any hush money, but she does seem to agree that James was abusive towards Kristen. Now, Raquel has never said that James has been abusive towards Raquel, but Raquel said that James was abusive towards Kristen. What are your thoughts on the accusations of abuse that Raquel has made against James?
So we actually interviewed Kristen a few months ago. She alluded to something similar, actually, in that interview briefly, I think, but didn't confirm anything. It was I think we had all heard the rumors at that point. I think we brought it up. She didn't confirm anything, but look, by her speaking out on that, and all of us on the side of the content and the content creators, we've all heard this. We've heard this rumor. We've heard inklings about it. I think at this point, because it's been brought to our attention, because Rachel said something, and her evidence was, I've seen him be violent before, I believe is what she said, or something along those lines.
Yeah.
And then when you have Kristen confirming it, I think that we as an audience, we as listeners, we as viewers, there needs to be more discussion on this. I think that it's important. I think that it's a dangerous thing to let domestic abuse try to get brushed under the rug because we have a more captivating story in Scandival. And I think that at this point, there's been enough red flags raised, enough hints here and there, that we as content creators, Bravo as a network, needs to do more investigating. We need to get to the bottom of this, especially before the next season comes out, because if any of this is confirmed, even remotely true, I don't want to watch James Kennedy on TV.
I also think we need to be careful with the word abuse, because I feel like there are so many different types of abuse that people want to talk about. There's physical abuse, there's mental abuse, there's emotional abuse, there's sexual abuse. And we need to be clear, because Rachel nor Kristen have been clear about what type of abuse. And we do know that Kristen and James had a very toxic relationship. We saw Kristen punch James on camera in that was at what, Sheena's wedding. That was season 4 when they, or 3 or 4 when they first started dating. So there was clearly physical abuse, and their relationship was so toxic and so unhealthy. So we need more details about this. We can't make these vague accusations or kind of just dance around the topic without actually addressing it. I agree with you. If there was any, I don't think there's ever an instance where a man should ever put his hands on a woman. And if James Kennedy was physically abusive towards Kristen, that's unacceptable. There's no way that should be, that should fly, and that James should still, that the network should still co-sign that. So, and co-signing it mean keeping him employed. So
yeah, I would imagine that Bravo has to be looking into it, especially with what happened with Below Deck last week, and there's just other things that are popping out. There's no way that they're not looking into it, but I think Steele's right in the sense that Scandival was so big that everything else just kind of gets swept away in it. And even during the reunion, when Tom's yelling at James Kennedy and says, "Hey, what you did in Atlantic City was crazy. You were harassing a waitress, going back and forth. You got kicked out of here. You grabbed her, you slapped her on the ass." And we've heard multiple stories like that before. Now, we don't know if any of this is confirmed. He didn't deny it at the moment. He didn't say a word. He just smiled and let it go and just went right back at Tom. So there's got to be something there. When you hear this many stories, there's got to be something there. We do have to be careful about it. Obviously, we kind of have to dance around a little bit, but we owe it. Bravo owes it to the audience. We owe it to the audience to make sure that we kind of tread lightly with it. And if there's ever any confirmation, then they have to make an action. You can't let him on the screen anymore. There's cheating on your 9-year girlfriend if you want to do that, but you can't do that. There's different lines to this, and that's not good for TV. That's not good for life. It has to stop anyway.
Bad for life.
And I want to clarify because people are chiming in. They're saying that he was verbally abusive towards Rachel. I want to clarify that I wasn't trying to diminish that. I was just saying I think people are running with the narrative that he was physically abusive towards Kristen, and we haven't confirmed that. Yes, we have seen him be abusive verbally, mentally, emotionally. Yes, those instances we have seen play out, but I think it's the fact that people are running with the narrative that he was physically abusive towards her, and that has not been clarified because there are different types of abuse, and that doesn't mean that one's more, one's worse than the other. Abuse is abuse.
It doesn't mean anything's worse than the other, but it means that you cannot throw out allegations of domestic violence without confirmation.
And I think Rachel threw it out very flippantly without realizing, because that's also not Rachel's place to even out Kristen's abuse. That's Kristen's place to out that when she wants to, how she wants to. That's her own, that's her journey to go on and share that publicly should she decide to do that. That wasn't Rachel's job. And I feel like Rachel was using that as a way to just kind of, add more gas to the fire to make her cast members look worse, to make herself look better, rather than that truly coming from a place of concern for Kristen.
But that goes to show you that she was just ill prepared for this entire thing, because that's not the only time that she threw something out there like that. When the video comes up that was recorded without her consent, and let's clarify now.
Let's talk about that. Please go for it.
Let's clarify this right now, right out of the gate. That's fucking disgusting on Sandoval's part. Oh, yeah, I'm getting feedback. All right. That's fucking disgusting on Sandoval's part. That is reprehensible. He deserves to have legal action taken against him if it was distributed, if it was showing it to other people. It's fucking disgusting. He's disgusting. He deserves legal action. I hope he gets it. I hope that it's confirmed that he was sending it around and that he gets hit with the law. That being said, for her to then in turn say, Ariana is sending this video to other people, that's a felony in a lot of states. To send that video without her consent to other people and distribute it is a felony charge in many states. Porn. Yes.
So it's an actual law, which is why.
Yeah, no, I agree. I know. Sorry. And for her to throw out allegations like that, once again, there are legal ramifications for what you're saying. We as podcasters know we can't come on here and say whatever the fuck we want because we know people are listening. And if we say something that's not true, that has a lot of ramifications to it, we can get in a lot of trouble. The same goes for her. You can't go out there and say, I think she's sending it to people when you don't know, because it might seem ho-hum and helping your defense because, oh, this woman is sending a video of me masturbating to other people. It's so disgusting. Isn't that gross, guys? Yeah, it's horrible if it's true, but if you don't have proof that it's true, you're now accusing Ariana of a felony with no proof. Again, you're shooting yourself in the foot. You're trying to do yourself a favor, and you're not. Instead of going about it that way, Maybe say, hey, Sandoval is fucking disgusting for doing this. Sandoval is gross for sending this to anybody. Sandoval is gross for showing this to people. Leave her alone. Leave her out of it.
He showed it to people. I don't think he sent it to anybody. And she said in the interview that he told her that he recorded that so that she could see how beautiful she looked afterwards, which is disgusting. Like,
well, I think the worst part about that is if it was on FaceTime, it means the Sandoval was in the corner in that little screen jacking off somewhere. So that's also in the video somewhere.
But can we all let's rewind that tape back just a minute, because she literally in that interview said, I was in my hotel room for Watch What Happens Live. I turned on the video on demand porn. I was watching porn and I decided to FaceTime Sandoval. Like, we're also like disregarding the fact that like she deliberately and intentionally FaceTimed him while she's watching porn, knowing that he's in a relationship. And at that point, she had already known that Ariana was still interested in being with him because she had already had that conversation with her on camera. That is diabolical. I'm sorry. I know Bethenny's feelings want to get hurt that Ariana called her diabolical on camera. That is diabolical. You FaceTimed him when you put on porn. Also, who's paying for that porn?
Bravo.
Andy
Bravo. Put the bill for the porn.
See, and she's like, I didn't make a penny off of Scandival, but she's over here making Bravo pay for her porn.
But to your point, what you just said, Bethenny is up in arms about them calling her diabolical. We had people send us clips. It was like a montage of the that Bethenny said to other people. Are you shitting me? This woman's unhinged. She said some of the worst things I've ever heard. Ever. And I've watched Bravo for a long time. I watched Scandival, and still Bethenny topped some of that stuff with what she said. So how are you going to take this stance now that she's getting dragged more? So you imagine if Bethenny was Ariana. She might have murdered Raquel. Raquel might be dead.
Wait, I want to talk about this stupid comment. Ariana probably showed people without sending it electronically to avoid the charge. You really think her headspace when she finds out, like, what a fucking moron. You really think that when she finds out that her man was cheating on her, her first thought is, let me not get charged with revenge porn.
I don't want to catch a charge.
People, because I don't like, what a fucking stupid comment. Like, I'm sorry. I try to tolerate bullshit, but like when the comments are that stupid, it's ridiculous to me.
Oh my god!
But I'm so sorry for whoever that
Zach
was.
is really going after the comments tonight. It's great.
I'm channeling my inner Bethenny Frankel. But so like my thing too is, was she really that upset that Sandoval did this? Because we then see afterwards, she filmed a scene with Sandoval where she's laughing with him in the finale. And they're like, oh my God, this ended up so badly. We now find out through this interview with Bethenny that she gave Sandoval a key to her apartment to stay at her apartment so that he didn't have to stay with Ariana. We find out that she was sending him letters from treatment.
Postcards.
Postcards.
Because Ariana can see it. That's different. A postcard's different than a letter because Ariana can read what you wrote. Sorry.
Yeah, exactly. So my thing is, it's like, how upset, how violated, how much are you angry at Sandoval for filming this FaceTime of you when you're continuing to, up until recently, remember we saw him on the plane with his phone and it had Raquel's name on his phone. So she was still having communication with him very recently. She hasn't cut after the reunion, we saw them laughing together in their room. They wanted off-camera time where they can just be the two of them. Remember when he threw that whole tantrum about how the two of us
stomped around the trailer? Yeah, like a fucking 6-year-old.
So how angry is she with him, and how violated does she feel by him? Because the violation is more him than it is Ariana circulating this or not.
Absolutely. And I think that's the weirdest part to me, is the stance that she takes against Ariana instead of Tom. Tom deserves all the heat. Tom deserves all the shit. Tom deserves legal action if this is in fact true. Ariana does not. She is the woman scorned here. And I don't know why Rachel is suddenly the woman scorned. I agree. It sucks that the video was shown to other people. It sucks that your skeevy, gross affair boyfriend recorded it.
We haven't confirmed that.
That's also true. Yes.
We have not confirmed that anybody else has seen the video except for Ariana, who found it on Sandoval's phone.
And what was it? Ariana sent it to herself and then sent it to Raquel. So she had it on her phone too. Yeah. And I think that's kind of what Raquel's getting caught up in, is saying it's on Ariana's phone. Who else knows what she's done? Maybe she sent it. Nobody's sharing that. Like, that doesn't make any sense. If you're Ariana in that position, you're not going to send that video to Lala, to Katie, to anybody else and say, look at this. Do you believe this? You're going to be like, I saw this, and describe it in great detail, but you're not going to show the video. That's fucking weird. It's disgusting.
It to them, right? Like, that makes much more sense to be like, it's a video of this. I'm not going to send that video.
To see, especially you don't want to circulate your mistress's vagina. Like, maybe
she sent it via Snapchat so that it would disappear within 24 hours.
Oh yeah, she was thinking about she wanted to make,
because she's smart like that.
Renee says iPhone users know when a picture and video is being taken. She knew. Actually, this is not true. So you get a notification if somebody screenshots it, but you don't get a notification if somebody is screen recording.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
But also, when you screen record, there's no audio. So he really just had an audio list, a mute video of the two of them just masturbating on FaceTime.
I don't know if that's worse or better. I can't
also, Bethany's talking about,
that's probably better, because he's probably singing in it.
Jesus, his hit new single.
Lightning in a bottle.
This is where Bethany's stupid too, is because she's just like, how do you feel that this video was played on the show? They discussed this video on the show. Like, this was a violation and it was on the show, which is not true, because if anybody rewatches that finale and even the reunion, they cut out any mention of what it was that Ariana found on his phone. We just know she found something on the phone. Never once do we hear the word FaceTime. Never once do we hear the word masturbation. Like, we don't hear any of that stuff because it was all edited out to protect Rachel.
I thought it was just a nude. When I heard it, I'm like, oh, there's a nude picture of of Rachel on the phone, because we didn't get more info than that. So I just assumed that she sent him a picture.
He said, normally I would have deleted something like that, which I think that kind of stuck with me, which is so funny. Like, how much does he have? There's definitely other women that he has pictures and videos of. Like,
he's got a
how
fake
often
app.
Is he FaceTiming and like masturbating with these people? Like, what are you doing?
That's what Rachel said. They FaceTimed all the time. So he's probably got like a whole vault in his phone with some fake app with like 16 videos of those two just jerking off.
That's worse than just going over to her house and having sex.
I don't even think it's a fake app. I think it's literally just it's
photos.
But also, he did this from Schwartz's bathroom. Like, that's
the best. That's the best part. Yeah.
You don't remember that?
Shit.
He went to he was at Schwartz's apartment, FaceTiming Rachel while he's mad. Like, I couldn't masturbate in my friend's bathroom with my mistress.
Well, Schwartz was probably on the other side of the door. Like,
Schwartz probably handed him a bottle of lotion.
He was probably filming,
like, hey, you chafing in there, buddy? You need a little bit more? Like, stick your hand out. Like,
sorry, Zach. I know that he just dyed his hair and he wants to be one of your followers.
He did.
Oh, yeah.
People don't seem to like it, though.
Oh, I'm exhausted from this shit, man. I can't do it. I thought Scandival was over, and
that's the thing. Everybody's like, why aren't we talking about Sandoval? Because Sandoval didn't do a fucking interview with Bethenny Frankel. We dragged him when he did the Howie Mandel interview. The reason we're talking about this now is because it was further perpetuated by Bethenny and Rachel. We did a 3-part interview. So guess what? We're going to talk about it 3 times this week because the interview was 3 parts long.
Which is insane, because if you add up the actual runtime of the show, it clocks in at under an hour. No, it's under an hour and a half because of the amount of ads that were on the show. I calculated the first episode was 12 minutes of ads, which means 1/4 of the show. And Shooter likes to gaslight me on this one.
Get over the fucking ads.
No, because I don't understand why you still think it's about me having to click through the ads. Like, it has nothing to do with listening to the ads. It has to do with the fact that you get paid per ad, and the fact that Rachel's not getting paid for this. And I can't get away from the platform in which Bethany's chosen to die on. It doesn't make sense to me that somebody that's advocating for fair reality wages is going to take this stance with Rachel when she's going to make $1 million fucking dollars from this. The hypocrisy makes me lie awake at night and think about it, and I hate that. I fucking hate it.
Go shut your front door. You're giving people anxiety.
You're giving people anxiety. She addressed that, though. She addressed it by saying her voice, her choice. That was Bethany's response. Her voice, her choice. I'm like, so it's okay if you exploit her, if it's her choice to do so, then why isn't it? She signed a contract with Bravo. Her name is on the dotted line. She agreed to take, was it $361,000 for which she didn't agree to because she got more because you get paid. She got a bonus clearly from the last season.
For sure.
It's insane.
I don't get it. I don't know. I'm curious to see what happens next with Rachel, especially with the podcast that she like. That's the other thing, and
She's never going to follow through on that.
See, I disagree.
What is her podcast going to be about?
She said she's going to have mental health professionals come on and talk to her about her trauma. So she's just going to tell a story, and then she's going to have a doctor sit there and say, well, actually, this is how you should have been feeling in that moment, and this is why you're feeling that way. Like, nobody wants to listen to that.
But see, I think that this is all a play by Bethenny. I think Bethany's going to try to start, like, Bethenny signs her to some bullshit network that she creates, and then her first podcast is going to be Rachel, and everyone's going to listen to the first episode because, like, what's this about? And then Bethany's going to be like, I have the #1 podcast on my network because I'm a genius. Crab leg.
It's so crazy. It's literally insane.
Yeah, I don't know where we go from here. I'm ready to. I can't wait for the new shows to come out, so that we can start talking about like Bravo again and not this fucking topic. I'm sick of it.
Well, we know Scandal is going to be another focus of the new season of Vanderpump. But from what I've heard, from what I have heard about it, they are not dragging Rachel. I think if anything, it was the opposite. They've only said nice things about Rachel throughout filming this most recent season. And so I feel like they would have given her, because listen, at the end of the day, I think they're going to hold Sandoval to a higher standard than they would Rachel. And I feel like they actually would have welcomed her back and embraced her. Listen, Jax went through it. Kristen went through it. Stassi went through it. They've all had to take the beating and take the heat. And eventually you get through it and you end up on the other side. You don't stay the villain forever.
No, you can do horrible, horrible things on Bravo. Horrible, reprehensible things that most normal human beings could not come back from. But instead, on this network, not only can you come back, you can have a redemption arc in which you garner more fans after the fact. It's wild. But she completely negated all of that by going on to Bethenny's podcast. She has no leg to stand on ever again. If she ever wanted to come back into that space, and the fact that she's trying to enter the space of content where she's going to create a podcast, you're not going to have any support just because of these 3 episodes that you did with Bethenny Frankel. You ruined whatever kind of future you have in this industry by going on her platform.
Yeah. She killed. I mean, I don't know where she goes from here. Nobody's going to listen to her podcast. No. Nobody wants to, like, I don't understand what she hoped to accomplish from doing this podcast interview.
Well, that's what upsets me when you listen to the beginning. And again, I really do think that, and Shooter referenced it multiple times, if you watch Raquel's behavior, always, she will go where people point her. They'll go where, like, if you give her a little bit, she's going to continue to go in that direction. All you have to do is give her, it's like Inception, plant the seed in her head and she'll take it from there.
Yep.
If you listen to the first episode, you listen to Bethenny steer her. You listen to Bethenny had an agenda. Rachel did not. Rachel went into this with whatever preconceived notion that maybe she was going to clear her name. Maybe it was a chance to tell her side of the story. Like you said, Zach, if she goes in and Bethenny's asking about therapy, if she's asking her what she's worked on, if she asked her what you've learned, we come out of episode 1 very differently. We come out seeing a Rachel that might be healed from some things, might be taking accountability for some things. Instead, we see Bethenny point her as the victim and say, how did you feel when they did that to you? When they did that to you, and not referencing the fact, she never once brings up the fact that, like, or really dives into the fact that Rachel was the one that committed the affair. Like, you're the one that partook in having sex. That's not really discussed. The 2 things you could have talked about that would have helped vindicate her somewhat, you completely sidestepped, and instead, and that tells you exactly what Bethenny's plan was to use Rachel, get as much volatile material out of this as she possibly could to get all of us talking about it, which it totally worked. And now Rachel's fucked. She's never coming back. Bethenny has 3 great episodes of a podcast that are going to be the most listened to episodes ever, and no more after that. And I know she's got 50 mil in the bank. She didn't give a shit, but, like, still, I don't understand what the approach was. It does not make sense to me.
Not to mention, like, she's probably going to do a YouTube behind the scenes vlog. Like she's done, you know, like all of that. Like, she's going to continue to milk this as much as she possibly can for as long as she possibly can. Like, it's insane to me, the whole thing, all of it. It makes my head spin, because it's like the people that are still, like, riding for Bethenny are crazy.
But you know what the good thing is? This happened while they're filming VPR, so we get to relive this again in a couple of months.
Oh,
yes.
fuck.
Oh my god. And
actually, I want to see people's reaction.
I'm going to Sheena's live show next weekend.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, nice. Oh, Brock tagged us in a video. I didn't know Brock.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know he.
Can we talk about that? Did you see the video?
Yeah, I love that move, by the way, to say part 4 is here and then they drop her music video. That was a good move.
That was hilarious. Is that feedback coming from me or from?
I don't know where it's coming.
I don't know.
From. That
your
didn't
face?
work. That made it worse.
Slap your face.
Who? Okay. I loved the song. I thought Sheena Shea's new song "Apples" was so fucking good.
Yeah, it was really good. I listened to it while I was driving down the shore because Steele's wife sent it to us, and I started playing it for my shore chat. Yeah, it was great.
It's called Apples. Good. It's nothing like Good as Gold. Like Good as Gold is like a poppy housewivesy type of song, right? This is like a legitimate hit song that you can hear on the radio and like actually like enjoy it. I was like, damn, Sheena came through.
Yeah, but we got tagged. Brock tagged us in.
I didn't know Brock knew who we were. We've never talked to Brock or Sheena before, so I was like, "Oh, cool. What's up, Brock?" He didn't answer.
The funny thing was, I didn't know what it was. He tagged me too, and I was like, "What is this?" I was like, "He clearly wants me to repost it." So then I reposted it, and it wasn't until later on, I think even like the next day, that I was like, "What did he tag me?" And then I went to go look at it, and I was like, "Oh, it's Sheena's new song, Apples." I was like, "This is actually a bop."
We didn't know
whatever his tactic was. It worked. It worked really well because we reposted it too.
Dev goes, "Did you listen to the song?" I was like, "What song?" She's like, "You posted it." I was like, "No, I didn't." She's like, "The Brock post." I was like, "That was." I don't know what that was. She's like, "It's Sheena's new song." I was like, "Oh, cool." And then I clicked on it.
Just an immediate repost.
Yeah. I mean, I guess because he didn't specify like what it was, but I guess it was like to intentionally leave it vague in the part 4 and the whole thing, you know?
Yeah, no, it was a good move. But like I said, we'd never even talked to him. So I was like, "Oh, cool. What's up, dude?" Like,
no,
I get it. Apples.
How you like them apples? Everyone's leaving apples in the live chat. But it's good. It's good. All right, shall we wrap? Is there anything else you wanted to discuss from the Rachel interview, from Vanderpump Land, that we didn't cover?
No, I think we're done with it for a while.
Yeah, I'm done until this season.
Let's take a break.
Or until Bethenny drops a secret part 4 bonus episode.
I'm not listening.
Behind a paywall, Patreon.
Let's just all agree not to listen.
Oh, you did? Can I hold on before we leave this? 10113 Sarah, can you tell me why?
Yeah, what did you gain from the interview that was actually good? Like, what?
Yeah, for our listeners that aren't watching this live, Sarah said, "I thought the interview was great." Can you actually? I'm not even trying to be an asshole right now. Can you tell me in 3 bullet points why you thought the interview was great?
Bullet points.
I will wait. Yeah, no, because I don't want to read paragraphs. I just want bullet points are quicker than paragraph. You dumbass.
Sarah sounds like me on Friday gaslighting you.
Oh, I hate it. You should listen to our episode because this asshole literally just took the contrarian stance to piss me off, and I ranted for like 45 minutes. Perfect. I lost like 5 years of my life. It's not perfect, but I've gotten a lot of people say, "Oh, fucking Los backed you up." We have this like frequent commenter, Outdoor Los, who we like love hate, and he commented, "This was the most unhinged steal ever. Thanks for your service, Shoots." Oh, wait, hold on. Did you see the TikTok one? This woman commented and said, "Talk about closeted narcissistic behavior, trying to gaslight and push your friend into a reaction. Is that really the kind of friend you want?" Hashtag Team Steal.
Wow.
Wait, am I a closeted narcissist? Is that what that's about,
I defended you. I said, "We've been friends for 16 years. Don't presume to know Shooter or our friendship based on a podcast episode." And then she still
even when people support you, you get mad at them.
Well, I'm not going to let him drag you, dude. I got your back.
I appreciate it. Thanks.
Alicia says, "Let's talk about Lala's house," because Rachel accused Lala of stealing the house that Brock wanted, which was right next door to Sheena.
Oh, what the fuck? Like, what are we doing?
Sheena came out and is like, "That's not true either." And Sheena said she's going to address it on her podcast this week, Shenanigans. But I'm like she was just throwing out such flippant comments with like no regard for. And again, why?
I don't understand what the point was to try to drag everybody else. It makes no sense to me.
Brittany said, "Let's talk about Brock hitting his first wife and not seeing his kids. Then we'll address Rachel." Brittany, we spent an entire season addressing all of those allegations. Lala dragged him. And if Lala bought his house, I think they're doing well. Like, I think their relationship is okay.
Yeah.
All of us have discussed that whole entire thing at length.
We can't keep going back and back. Yeah, I'm
still waiting for Sarah to chime in.
Yeah, I don't think Sarah ever told us.
I think Sarah's done.
Sarah's like, I'm out. She's like, you're gonna make me you're gonna make me list the real reason I liked it. Peace.
Or she's really typing something up.
Yeah, that could be it too.
Oh, she's thinking really hard. She's
if that's the case, I'm gonna
to really think about what she liked about that interview.
I'm gonna hit her with a TLDR. Too long, didn't read.
Sorry that happened to you, or I'm really happy for you.
Yeah, I don't think anybody that actually liked the interview knows why they liked it. They just want to be on the side of the non.
I'll tell you why. I'll tell you exactly why they liked it. They want to try to lean against like the every woman deserves a right to speak. Bethenny's an advocate for this and that. It's ride or die Bethenny fans, and it's people that refuse to look at the actual content that they're spewing.
Yeah.
And they say, oh, she has a right to speak out. Yeah, none of us said she didn't. We said that the way she went about it was horseshit. But they want to spin it into this narrative that we're trying to silence a woman or that we're trying to keep people from speaking out on their own experiences, which is ridiculous. That's kind of what we all advocate for. And when we do interviews, even with people we don't like, we'll interview people we absolutely hate. You don't go into it with a vendetta against them. You go into it with, okay, we're going to break this down. We're going to figure out who you are, how you tick, and why you did what you did. Let's hear your side of things. We didn't get that at all. We got Bethenny's narrative pushed onto Raquel.
I actually went into the interview wanting to listen to what Raquel had to say and wanted to be like, listen, let me give her a little bit. I dragged the bitch since she first came on our screen many, many years ago because I never liked her. There was something about her that I never liked. And my intuition proved me right. But I feel like, I was like, you know what? She came out of treatment. She spent 90 days in there. I really want to hear what she has to say. And then within the first 5 minutes, I was like, what the fuck am I listening to? This is not like her taking accountability. This is not her owning up to her shit. This is literally just deflection and pointing the finger and victimizing herself. And that's, it's just,
As somebody that spent 30 days in a treatment center for alcohol, as somebody that had to look inward for those 30 days, go to therapy, figure out my own shit, and really dive into my own psyche and like learn a lot about myself, I was so curious to hear what she had to say. I was so intrigued by what she could come out of that learning and teach so many people about. Even if you listen to that interview and it went well and you still don't like her afterwards, there's a lot that can be learned from somebody that went through something like that. And I was so excited to hear it genuinely. So I was like, wow, this perspective is going to be really, really interesting. Instead, we didn't get that. We got her weirdly defending a lot of things. We got her taking the side of the victim. And this was a chance for her to come out as an actual mental health advocate. And that's what's sad. She really could have started a podcast from this. She really could have helped a lot of people from this. And instead, she was Bethenny's puppet. I hope Bethenny's happy with herself because she fucking ruined any chances. Yeah, I know she. And that's the thing too. She is, because she's saying #1 podcast in the world. Well, why though? Why though?
But
why
do you think
have the #1 podcast?
Do you think
anybody
that
got this interview would have?
But do you think that Raquel didn't dig deeper into her therapy because she didn't learn anything from it and she really didn't resonate with it? Or do you think she didn't dig deeper because Bethenny didn't let her? I think it's the former. I think it's the former.
I think it's the former. I don't think, because if she really was evolved, she would have not leaned into the stuff that Bethenny wanted to lean into. And she would have focused more on the person that she is today. We didn't get any of that. Like, the thing is, and to your point, she could have leaned into coming out and saying, listen, we can all really fuck up and become better as a result of it.
Yeah.
She didn't do that. Instead, she doubled down and leaned in on this. Like, I was entitled to screw your man because I didn't see longevity and we weren't really friends. So why should I
minimize the affair within the first 5 minutes of the episode?
I was like, what?
I was like, wow, this is the route we're going. That's bizarre. I think I texted Shooter in that moment and said, what the fuck am I listening to? Like,
that was after they said hi to each other. Yeah, it was really fun.
Oh, I did. Yeah, actually.
Hi.
The intro tells you everything you need to know about
Rachel.
a Bethenny Frankel podcast. Hi. What is that intro? What are we doing? Like, what the fuck? Like, put a little effort into it.
Did you guys know that she created the Bethenny clause?
Oh, she created it?
Bethenny created the Bethenny clause. Because of Bethenny, there's a Bethenny clause that every reality star now has to abide by.
I knew there was a Bethenny clause. I didn't
think that she created it. Yeah.
In her head, she won't shut up about the Bethenny clause. All she talks about is Bethenny clause.
Yeah, she brought it up. Well, that was the really interesting part of the interview. And see what happens. We start talking, we keep going. She made so many things about herself.
Everything.
So many things about herself. I'm like, why are you talking? I want to hear from Rachel.
I get what you're going through. I planned a wedding on television.
Yeah. What? How is that the same? What are you talking about? What are we doing here? Why are we? Fuck.
It's literally insane.
I can't. But if anybody's wondering what I'm wearing around my neck,
no one's wondering.
They are. I won my softball league. I'm a champion. This is my championship medallion. So this is a gold medal. In case you're wondering what I've been wearing this whole time.
Bite it.
Does your chain hang low? Does it wobble to the flow? Does it? How does that song? I haven't listened.
No, that was it.
That was good. Yeah, you had it.
Did he throw it over your shoulder?
You want us to go for you?
Chain hang low.
No.
There. That's how we end
it. Boom.
Sarah, you're a coward, by the way.
Oh, yeah, Sarah never answered. That's right.
Coward.
She's like, what? You're going to make me?
I can't justify
No,
it.
Sarah.
I love that Zach went off on a commenter. That made me feel better.
Yeah, that was fun.
At this point, I just don't have much patience for it anymore. It's like, if you're gonna come in, like, then don't listen to my show. Colleen says it's worth a listen. I listen to most of her podcasts. She has great guests as well. Ooh, Bethenny?
I won't listen to them.
I didn't know that Bethenny had a podcast until this episode came out.
I knew she had
3 podcasts.
I knew she had rewives, but I've never listened.
Has 3 podcasts,
and they probably all suck.
She has Rewives, Bees Rants, and Just Be.
Ugh.
And all the names suck. You're 0 for 3.
And I think she like sits there and tapes for like 1 hour and then chops it up into 3 different podcasts and releases it on 3 different feeds.
We should do that.
So stupid. I'm like, what? You don't have 3 top podcasts? Like, what?
We got BravBros, Brav Boys, and the BravBros.
Yep. Bravo Bros. We'll just lean into the Bravo Bros since everybody calls us
that anyway.
Bros hot takes, bros mild takes, and
different sauce levels.
Yeah, and bros
Steel's
light.
brags.
The Steel's brags.
Yeah, there you go.
Steel's humble brags.
Oh.
All right. Well, if they don't have 3 podcasts, but they do have 1 really good podcast. It may not be #1 in the galaxy, but it is at the top of my list. It's called the BravBros podcast. You can catch Steel and Shooter. How often are you guys releasing right now?
Wednesday and Friday, twice a week.
Twice a week. So go Wednesdays and Fridays, listen to the BravBros podcast. And what other socials or shout outs do you want to give?
We got at @Brav_Bros on all socials, Instagram, Twitter, or X as we're calling it these days. And yeah, X and TikTok. It's Brav_Bros, and subscribe. All of you are watching this on YouTube, and every time we do this with Zach, we get a lot of views on the original video and not a lot of subs. So go over to our page, just click that subscribe button. It does us a lot of good if you just click subscribe, sub to our page.
Yes, you can see their handle in the description below, so you can go click it. It's super easy. If you're watching this right now, click the link, click the handle, and go subscribe to them on YouTube. Catch the BravBros podcast every Wednesday and Friday. Subscribe, leave them a good podcast review, and let them know that you're loving their content. If you're loving me, you can follow me at Just Plain Zach all over the internet, or follow the podcast at No Filter with Zach on the Instagram, or you can listen to No Filter with Zach Peter every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on all podcast platforms. You can also watch the podcast on Spotify or on YouTube. So subscribe on YouTube as well. Leave me some good reviews because we'll love the good reviews, or just drag Bethenny. If you want to drag her in some of the reviews, I'm here for that too. Drag Sarah too. Sarah still hasn't answered us. Sarah, I'm waiting. I'm going to check my DMs and refresh religiously because I'm waiting for you, Sarah. All right. Oh, look at there we go. People are already subscribing to you guys. I love it.
There we go.
Thank you, bros. Thank you, guys. I will talk to you later this week. Ciao for now.
Oh yeah, we'll see you later.
Bye
guys.